May 1925. A private suite in the Hôtel de Crillon, the most expensive address in Paris. 5 of the city's biggest scrap metal dealers have been invited to a confidential meeting with a senior government official. There are credentials on the table, official stationery, a deal of national importance, and one condition: absolute secrecy. The man at the head of the table is not a government official. He is about to sell them the Eiffel Tower. And here's the strangest part. It will work so well that a few months later, he'll come back and try to sell again. To understand the con, you need one fact most people have forgotten. In 1925, the Eiffel Tower was not sacred. It was built in 1889 as a temporary exhibit. Its permit was for 20 years, and Paris had already debated tearing it down. 7,300 tons of iron, 2.5 million rivets. And by the 20s, it was rusting, expensive, and unfashionable. That spring, a newspaper article added up the maintenance costs and asked, casually, whether the city might be better off scrapping it. In a Paris hotel room, a man named Victor Lustig read that article twice. Where everyone else saw a headline, he saw a product. Lustig was 35, Czech-born, spoke 5 languages, and had spent his whole adult life impersonating people more respectable than himself. For this job, he gave himself a title, Deputy Director General of the Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs, and had a forger produce the stationery to match. Notice what he did next, because it's the whole trick. He didn't summon the dealers to the ministry. He summoned them to a luxury hotel and explained that the location was because the deal was too sensitive for government offices. The public would be outraged if they knew. Gentlemen, this stays in this room. Secrecy didn't weaken the story. Secrecy was the story. A secret feels more true than a fact, because you feel chosen to hear it. Among the 5 dealers, Lustig watched for the one who leaned in. His name was André Poisson, newer money, provincial, desperate to belong in Parisian high society. Selling him the tower would make him famous. Lustig chose him, and then did something that separates amateurs from masters. When Poisson hesitated, Lustig quietly asked for a bribe. Think about that. A fake official asking for a real bribe. In that moment, every doubt in Poisson's head dissolved, because this felt exactly like dealing with the government. The corruption was the authenticity. Poisson handed over a banker's draft for the tower, plus the bribe. By most accounts, around 70,000 francs in total. Lustig was on a train to Vienna within hours, carrying a suitcase of cash. And then, nothing happened. No police report, no newspaper scandal, no manhunt. Poisson understood that the moment he reported the crime, he would stop being a victim and become a punchline, the man who bought the Eiffel Tower. So he paid for the con twice, once with his money and once with his silence. This is the real engine of fraud, then and now. The con artist's best security isn't a fake ID or a getaway train. It's the victim's shame. Even today, the majority of fraud is never reported at all, which means every scammer you've ever heard of was caught in spite of their victims, not because of them. Lustig knew this before psychology had a name for it. He didn't just steal Poisson's money. He engineered a crime the victim would help him hide. Which brings us to the legend. He sold the Eiffel Tower twice. It's in 100 articles. It's in the title of this video. And it's not quite true. About 6 months later, Lustig did return to Paris. Same suite, same stationery, same script, 5 new scrap dealers. But this time, one of them did the one thing Poisson couldn't. He asked around. The story cracked, the police were called, and Lustig fled to America mid-con with nothing. So the honest version is sold once, attempted twice. And the difference between the 2 endings was a single phone call. One man willing to look stupid for 5 minutes instead of staying silent forever. Remember that asymmetry. It's the only defense that has ever worked. Lustig's American years read like fiction. He sold Al Capone on a fake stock deal, held his $50,000 for 2 months, then returned every cent, apologizing that the deal fell through. And Capone, moved by this rare display of honesty, handed him $5,000 for his trouble. Which was the plan? He conned Chicago's most dangerous man into paying him for integrity. He sold a money-printing box to greedy buyers across America, a mahogany machine that printed 2 perfect $100 bills before its supply of hidden real notes ran out. By the 1930s, he was running an actual counterfeiting operation, so large the Secret Service gave his fake bills their own nickname, Lustig Money. They caught him in 1935, tipped off, the story goes, by a jealous girlfriend. The day before his trial, he cut bed sheets into a rope and climbed out a 9th-floor window of a federal detention center in Manhattan in daylight. When people on the street looked up, he calmly wiped the windows as he descended, floor by floor, like a workman. The crowd watched a fugitive escape and saw a man doing his job. They caught him again a month later. 20 years. Alcatraz. Victor Lustig died in prison custody in 1947 of pneumonia at 57. On his death certificate, under occupation, someone typed, "Apprentice salesman." The greatest con man of his century, filed as a beginner. But here's the thing his whole career proves, and it's not people are stupid. Nobody in this story bought a tower, or a money box, or a stock deal. Poisson bought his entrance into Parisian society. Capone bought proof that one honest man existed in his world. The buyers of the money box bought the version of themselves that was finally rich. Lustig never sold objects. He sold each victim a better version of themselves. And that is a product almost nobody refuses. So the next time an offer makes you feel chosen, a secret deal, a private tier, an opportunity just for you, pause on that feeling. It's the oldest sales pitch on earth. And if you do get burned, say it out loud. Shame is their security system. Breaking it is yours. New story next week. I'll see you there.